every day our law enforcement officers are going out there and facing terrorists. They are in a war, Chris. They are not fighting people that are shooting at them with pop guns, ketties, and shotguns. They are getting out and facing armament of war, AK-47s, stolen R4s, and at times now we hear hand grenades, and threatens this beautiful country of ours to become Colombia. I am absolutely proud and enthusiastic about, again, the police commissioner in KZN. Chris, if there was ever an indicator that the police have drawn a line, go to KZN. That commissioner, I've said this before, has taken on and decided that if you're a criminal and you point a gun at a police officer, you will die. That's it. That's not a nice thing. That is not human. That is not humanity. But at a point, I always remind people that in the 20s, the most prolific mafia boss in the world, Al Capone, was not sentenced to jail because of murder and smuggling alcohol. He was sent to jail because of tax evasion, money. I don't know if the other people that listen to us saw that program about gold smuggling out of Zimbabwe. When I sat episode after episode and watching how the tobacco and gold industry in this country and beyond are absolutely driven by crime syndicates, what was done about it? It's like the Zondo Commission. What are we doing about it? People are starting to see the end of the tether, and you can say what you want, Chris. Fundamentalism and terrorism and crime, at the end of the day, does reach the person on the street. Hits you in the pocket, hits you in crime, and threatens this beautiful country of ours to become, I said it before last year, and I'll say it again, will become Colombia. And here, can I put a feather on the cap? And I will do so. Because just to play opposition all the time is also not, in my opinion, honorable. When something happens that is good, let's give them the accolade. I am absolutely proud and enthusiastic about, again, the police commissioner in KZN. Chris, if there was ever an indicator that the police have drawn a line, go to KZN. That commissioner, I've said this before, has taken on and decided that if you're a criminal and you point a gun at a police officer, you will die. That's it. That's not a nice thing. That is not human. That is not humanity. But at a point, you better decide. We're either standing for law and order or we submit. I attended the memorial service yesterday, as I told you, of the city of Cape Town, for our uniform members that have fallen. To see those names on a wall and to physically sit next to the people that were left behind is a stark reminder that every day our law enforcement officers are going out there and facing terrorists. They are in a war, Chris. They are not fighting people that are shooting at them with pop guns, ketties, and shotguns. They are getting out and facing armament of war, AK-47s, stolen R4s, and at times now we hear hand grenades. So, Chris, in conclusion on that point, we must make a decision. Do we allow it or do we fight it? And you know where I stand, and I think most people in this country are going to come with us to bring back law and order. The fundamental difference between ex-Khalifa Al-Azbeki and Minister Mchunu, I will tell you something what I've noticed. He's calm, he's collective, he seems to be a thinker, and absolutely is a doer. I know this. People can say what you want. We need a police officer to be the minister. I was a proponent to the fact that we must have someone that has policing. But this minister has absolutely come in, not said a word, not screamed, and just got down to the job. Now, if that is the kind of leadership we are going to get into SAPS, I see light shining, and that's an accolade. Hope must come. So I'm watching him. I'm seeing what he's doing. He's on the ground, but he's not there for show and camera. I saw him at this Mpumalanga raid say his say and then stand back and then said to the National Police Commissioner, please speak. And he didn't comment on police matters. He refused. He spoke about the people, about justice, about what the minister is going to do, and handed the rest to SAPS. That's the difference. Let the police do what the police do, and let the minister give them the coverage of the political authority. And that's clear. Ian Cameron is rising. No matter what we say, Ian is bringing certain new energy also to police. Devolution is coming. That word devolution. And devolution of police power to province, to city, is the ultimate final scenario of saying sharing power to catch a criminal is better than hiding it because we all have our little castles. So I look forward to it. I'm very much involved, as you know, in the Cape Town law enforcement fraternity, and we cannot wait for the devolution of certain powers, which is constitutionally allowed, so that the people on the ground, in the mid-level and on the national level, can all take hands and make South Africa a safe country again.
Yeah, so I've actually been going through a brief research on the police commissioner, I think, in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, Lieutenant General Nhlanla Mkhwanazi. And for me, the first thing that struck me is the fact that he's a lieutenant general. Okay, so does this mean that he's a part of the military, so former South African Defense Forces personnel who now became a minister, who now become a police officer, or is this lieutenant general part of the police ranking? But anyway, he's been really making a lot of waves. Even Julius Malema argues, I think in the last lecture that Julius Malema gave on security in Africa at Rhodes University, he actually gave kudos to this Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi here on what he's actually doing in KZN in reducing the crime rate. And for me, one of the things that I've actually been really interested in has been, the philosophy of the police officers or the police in South Africa, especially with a lot of the blasting. You guys, many of you blasted Becky Tele, in the last dispensation of policing. I actually sought to understand the philosophy behind this Lieutenant General Nhlanla Mkhwanazi as a police commissioner in KZN. And this video actually captured it for me. Just take a quick listen.
Yeah, well, they always say if you want to kill a snake, must hit the head. So that's what we're busy with. And one of those that are inside is the head of the group. So we are slowly trying to minimize that whole syndicate.
Yeah. So you see, this is his idea, this is his logic, this is his perspective to policing. In that, especially in terms of trying to fight the gang crimes and the violent crimes, he actually is hungry to go for the head. You see, so that's the strategy, the metaphor of trying to kill a snake, so to speak. And so, he's been praised for the statements he actually also made, in the sense that he said that the new police dispensation in KZN will not back away if it is being threatened by violence, but it would also respond, if necessary, by violence. And then to the point where I think some suspects in a recent kind of like crime incident were even shot dead straight on, you see. And I saw many comments under that post that actually praised him for being active in trying to protect and reduce the crime, in KZN. I thought to really just go quickly through one report that actually struck me about his mannerism of, policing in KZN. So it actually argues here, this is from August the 2nd, 2024, where there was a debate concerning 31 suspects that were killed in shootouts with KZN cops, since April. So KZN seems to be it's almost like a movie where there are these shootouts with police and gang members, so to speak. It argues that KZN actually has experienced an increase in fatal confrontations between police and suspected criminals, with more than 31 deaths reported in the past 3 months. Okay, so it says that the surge of these deaths has actually heightened scrutiny of police in KZN and actually sparked a debate about the use of force by police. So in trying to respond to this, questioning on the use of force by police in KZN, Lieutenant General Nhlanla, who is a provincial police commissioner in KZN, Nhlanla Mkhwanazi, actually says, and this is him now speaking, he says that if we are not taking this seriously, we are facing a problem. We cannot fight criminals by negotiating with them. We have to be aggressive with them, bold when we arrest them, and we have been successful in doing that. And when they are incarcerated there must be hard penalties coming out of the courts, and they must be sent away for long periods. So this is Mkhwanazi now speaking, and you can see this is his philosophy. This is his logic of policing. I sense a much more hard hand in trying to deal with criminals, unlike, as many of your comments suggested, Bekitele wasn't really as firm as this in his outlook towards policing in South Africa. So Mkhwanazi also says that the report says that Mkhwanazi expressed concern over the high murder rate in KwaZulu-Natal, right? He says, this is him speaking now, saying that KwaZulu-Natal's biggest worry is murders, okay? And that if KwaZulu-Natal is not number one, then it is beaten by Gauteng. So KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng are competing for, the amount of murders, that occur in those provinces, okay? The Lieutenant General argues that he says that he suggested that KwaZulu-Natal might be the murder capital of South Africa, citing historical data showing that the province has long had the highest number of police involved killings. Okay. Now, this report also says that crime statistics paint a really stark picture. So in the first 3 months, for example, of 2023, KwaZulu-Natal reported 1,649 murder cases, with Inanda, Umlazi, and KwaMashu among the worst affected areas. Inanda, for example, was noted as the murder capital of South Africa, recording 93 killings, following Umlazi with 59 killings, and then KwaMashu with 52. Then there's also the case of sexual assault cases, which actually also remain high in this region, though there has been a decline in reported rapes in Umlazi and Inanda. So it now says that KwaZulu-Natal has consistently had the country's worst crime statistics, including for burglary and also robbery, with aggravating circumstances. And in the 2014-2015 financial year, the province of KwaZulu-Natal accounted for 3,800 out of the 17,000 murder cases in South Africa. So this is kind of like really a scary report about this province, KZN, and as large as it is. And for me, it's really interesting that Chris Pappas would have wanted to be a premier in this region. But anyway, it's really interesting for me to really learn about KwaZulu-Natal. Then there's argument here that there's a researcher, David Bruce, who actually made comments about the high rate of police-involved shootings in KwaZulu-Natal, and he made this report on Newsroom Africa. He actually said that what's newsworthy about this spate of killings is that in some ways it isn't necessarily particularly exceptional. He noted that KwaZulu-Natal has historically always had the highest number of police-involved killings, which reflects the province's high levels of violence and systemic issues within the criminal justice system. And this is why in one of the reports by Neil De Beer on Biznews, he actually argued that more police should be deployed to KwaZulu-Natal. That KwaZulu-Natal needs more police staff, stationed in KwaZulu-Natal. Probably it's now making sense with this report I'm actually stumbling upon here. He also says that there's this also guy, Lawyers for Human Rights, Nkube Wayne. He actually weighed in. He actually argued that anywhere you have people who are killed, it is a cause for concern, and that KwaZulu-Natal has been a cause for concern for well over a decade, okay? And, so a lot of descriptions anyway about KwaZulu-Natal and the character of the danger KwaZulu-Natal. So according to the police commissioner in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Lieutenant General Nhlanla Mkhwanazi, his idea also of the fact on how cops need to learn to neutralize danger actually is something that's also making headwaves in media. So it says that KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanla Mkhwanazi is in the spotlight as the number of suspects killed during arrests continue to mount in KwaZulu-Natal. And on Friday, recently, I think there are 3 suspects. Okay, let me just check the dates quickly. So this was in July 2024. So recently, anyway, that they said there were 3 suspects who were wanted for at least 10 murders, and they died in a shootout with the police in the Gezwa area in Mpangeni on the north coast, right? And on Tuesday, those 3 suspects died in a shootout with police in Inanda. You see, so it's almost like a movie, so to speak. But anyway, I hope this wasn't more dangerous and hurt other people. It says that the deaths of these 3 suspects actually sparked a debate on social media with focus on this Lieutenant General Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi. So the police commissioner now defended his officers, saying that it's important that police in South Africa, especially in this new dispensation, learn how to neutralize danger, in quotes. So he's actually also saying that in the past 3 months, we have arrested over 35,000 suspects who did not fight with the police. They will be taken through the justice system as our laws dictate. However, those suspects who put the lives of police officers and residents in danger by resisting arrest through gunshots leave police with no option but to return fire in self-defense and neutralizing the danger. So this is from Lieutenant General Nhlanla Mkhwanazi, okay? And this is his philosophy, his wider philosophy on the new dispensation on how police should react. And I really wonder if probably this would be the mandate now from Police Commissioner Mchunu, and we might be seeing this approach also spring across different provinces in South Africa. Mkhwanazi also speaking, he says that police officers have a mandate to arrest and to bring perpetrators to justice. However, if police find themselves under gunfire, the only option they have to come out alive is through the return of fire. So for this Lieutenant General in KZN, it's tit for tat. As a gang member, as a crime suspect, if you give it to the police, they give it back to you. And that's the philosophy that will be characterizing police service now in KZN. The report says that some South Africans praised Mkhwanazi on social media after the news of the 3 suspects' deaths, while others expressed concern about the shootings. And it's understandable because, you see, this kind of good cop ideology, so to speak, can get easily abused in the likes that some of the bad cops can actually ride on the premise that has actually been set in motion by these good cops to now perpetrate other negative crimes, all within the whole positivity of police, thereby causing more harm than good in this regard. And so the Lieutenant General might need to even be more sensitive in that regards. There was this guy actually saying that, the report says that, Mkhwanazi is cleaning up KZN currently, okay? And that South Africa needs leaders like him in the service of South Africa, and that South Africa must give him the full powers to bring back the stability in the police force, and that politicians must not interfere. He also argues that suspects need to be safe and hand over yourself before it's too late, all right? Mkhwanazi must be commended for consistently dealing with hitmen criminals in KZN. Not so long ago, they dealt away with wanted criminals in Inanda around Durban, and now they have shot and killed others in Kwadlangedzwa. He says that these criminals were all wanted for murders, among other things, and opened fire on police when concerned. Now, in commenting on the Kwadlangedzwa shooting, police spokesperson called Robert Neshwinda actually argued that, he said that the provincial stabilization team, it forms part of the Operation Vala Mgodi, actually received information about these suspects hiding at a house. I think one report actually even said that, this police commissioner actually went as far as communicating with Interpol to help in the investigation. And they found some suspects that were actually looking for crimes in Swaziland. And so the raid was carried out in Swaziland, and most of these guys were. So it speaks to the fact that, the commissioner is actually really serious about, tackling crime, in KZN and in KwaZulu-Natal. And one of the perspectives of his philosophy that really struck me and interested me so much was his perspective of traditional healers. Okay, so he argued that, traditional healers in South Africa can contribute to helping the police in KZN or even across South Africa, reduce crime. And for me, that was really revolutionary, because what's the business with traditional healers and crime or probably gangs in this regard? So in his explanation, I think I would just want us to listen to that section quickly in this interview he had on SABC, and I'll be back for some really interesting analysis.
Commissioner, you made mention just now of where you nabbed these individuals at a traditional healer's house. Is there any sort of appeal that you'd like to make to traditional healers who may know of criminal activity that's about to occur?
For those that will be treating these criminals, so we'll appreciate if they were to come forward and tell us about them. The unfortunate part is that some of them make a living out of these criminals. They tend not to divulge information. But it has happened in a couple of incidents that the police even caught these criminals in their houses and a shootout occurred, and which leads into the death of these traditional healers. So we don't want them to get involved in the wrong, and they get caught in the wrong. So they must just give us information. If these bad criminals come to see them for anything, most of the time they come carrying guns, and they tell them. They don't hide it, the fact that they want to be cleansed for either a crime, a murder that they've committed, or they want to be made stronger for a crime that they are planning to commit. So either way, those healers, they tend to know about it. And so we want to plead with them to please share the information. They must talk to the police and must share the information with us.
Very well. Thank you so much for that latest.
Yeah, so, he's actually pointing to the fact that, believe it as you may, you see, we know that there's this emergence and dominance, a hegemony of enlightenment ideals, right? Empiricism and all that, in the sense that we must research with what can be seen and facts that can actually be we can base our arguments on, and then carry out, action based on facts, okay? But there's no doubt, in any African's mind, that there's a stench of mysticism and metaphysical activity around how Africans perceive reality. And so these traditional healers now, according to this police commissioner in KZN, actually argues that because most of these criminals go to these traditional healers for different forms of fortification, different forms of services to help either appease them, heal their wounds, or even guarantee that their next operation would be successful and all that. So he has a really revolutionary strategy to really encourage these traditional healers to change their mindset. Although many of them are clients, these gangs are clients to these traditional healers. Many of these traditional healers make a living from the compensation they get from most of these crime gangs and gang members and all that. But he's arguing that these traditional leaders could contribute to the safety that is being sought after now in South Africa, and also like in KZN, for example, which is almost becoming the murder capital of South Africa, by speaking up and trying to let the police know, of their client, so to speak, although this would affect their means of livelihood anyway. But I thought that it was a really revolutionary idea by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi on how visionary and how purposeful he's trying to be in trying to fight, crime and violence in South Africa. But anyway, what do you guys think about this video? What do you think about the commentary and the speech here by Neil de Beer? Share your thoughts in the comments.